Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek, and welcome to my Sunday live news stream. Move my microphone away because it always seems right loud at the beginning, doesn't it? So hopefully it's settled down now, and hopefully you can hear me. This is my live news stream. We're live on YouTube. Let's check. Yes, we seem to be live there. Yep, we're live on Rumble. So let's just check that. Make sure we're live on Rumble. Yes, we seem to be live on Rumble. And we're live on Twitch. Huzzah! Right. Oh, see, that's on. Just share that Twitch. Because it won't let me share it for some reason. It don't let you share the actual. Never mind, I won't bother. Never mind. And we're live on Twitch. So there we go. Right. So back to the show. This is my live news stream where I talk about geeky things that have caught my eye today. But before we start, don't forget, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. As I said, we're live on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. Later on, I'll be uploading it to Spotify, Amazon Music Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. I've also got a Patreon page. Check that out. Links in the description. Oh, pardon me, burping because I'm boozing. I'm boozing. I'm blaming that. I burp for nothing, don't I? I'm also on Facebook, X. Notice I've where are we? Notice I've updated the icon to X and Instagram. Links in the description for those as well. As I've linked to my 2 books, they're down there. They're actually underneath a hard drive, and I can't get to them. But links for those are in the description as well. Right, so let's get on with some news, shall we? First up, let me do that. First off, make myself teachy tiny first, don't I? That's what I do first. There we go. That's what we do first, and then add to stream. And on it comes. There we go. First up, there's a new Ahsoka trailer. Remember, that starts in 10 days, according to this. There's a new trailer with Anakin Skywalker in that set the interwebs alight. So we'll watch the trailer. It's only 45 seconds. It's not a trailer, it's a teaser clip, in it. But we'll have a listen, and we'll have a look.
Everyone in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker. Few would live to see what he became.
Before the end of the Clone Wars, I walked away from him and the Jedi.
In this war, you will face more than just droids. As your master, it's my responsibility to prepare you. I won't always be there to look out for you.
I could use the help.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Don't be afraid. And trust your instincts. I know you can do this, Ahsoka.
Right, so there we go. That was it. 45 seconds worth of it. Hopefully, we haven't been hit with a copyright thing. Doesn't look like it. So we got Anakin's voice. We didn't see. Well, we saw him, turn around. But I don't know. Was that from Ahsoka, or was that just a clip of him that they found? Is he actually going to be in it, or is he just going to be thinking back to his voice? I don't know, but everybody said, "Oh, Anakin's going to be in." But remember, Anakin was in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Look how that turned out. That was terrible, wasn't it? So there we go. Let's say some interesting images. I'm quite looking forward to Ahsoka, to be honest. I like Rosario Dawson and the late Ray Stevenson. He looks to be playing a good character. But we will see. Not long now, 10 days. So let's just get on with it. Just drop it all at once. But they won't. Right, so we'll leave that one there. We'll move on to the next story. I just thought I'd share that with you because it's new. Right, next up, Star Trek. Strange New Worlds, to be more accurate. Strange New Worlds set to introduce more surprise, iconic characters. Strange New Worlds Season 2 gave Star Trek fans the gift of Scotty, but the showrunners have said that likely won't be the end of the big surprises for fans. There he is. There's Scotty. Doesn't look out anything like James Doohan, does he? I bet he ain't got a finger missing either. Anyway, Strange New Worlds has been a real treat for Star Trek fans, and the season 2 finale came with an added bonus: the introduction of Scotty, one of the best TV series in the Trek universe. I don't go that far. I like Strange New Worlds, but I won't say it's one of the best. It's one of the best of the new lot. Anyway, Strange New Worlds already comes with a fair amount of nostalgia, and now we can't help but wonder about more of the best Star Trek characters showing up in the future. We're already looking ahead to the Strange New World Season 3 release date and the prospect of adding more faces from the past, in addition to the new Scotty actor, when one of the best sci-fi series on Paramount Plus continues. Fortunately, showrunners Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonso Myers have been talking to Variety about the future and about whether they might bring in more big names from the Star Trek timeline. Goldsman said, "The longer we stay on the air, do we still say that? The longer we stream, the longer we do whatever it is we do to let people watch us, the more likely it becomes. Given our druthers," what the hell's a druther? I have no idea. Don't even know what that word means. "Because Henry and I are greedy and gluttons for punishment, we'd go right into the original series era and see what happens. So if we're around long enough, sure," which is what I've said, that they're going to do that. I think that's what their plan is. They want to remake in their own image the original series. Obviously, not all of it, because 79 episodes. They won't do that, will they? But I think they're going to redo the original series in their own image with Kirk. Myers, meanwhile, promised that if we meet other people, they will surprise you. That's more than enough to whet our appetites for the future when we sit down to rewatch the Star Trek movies in order to prepare for what's next. Why are they watching the Star Trek movies in order to prepare for what's next? What the Star Trek movies got to do with Strange New Worlds? Cyborg? He was in Star Trek 5. We saw the back of his head in the first season of Strange New Worlds. Is that what they mean in Cyborg? Apart from that, from the movies, I can't think of anything else. Whales. I don't know. Will we meet a General Chang, a younger General Chang? Or Gorkon? God knows what they're on about. Anyway, Myers added, "I try to respect everyone's approach to this, but we're not telling the story of who they are in the future. We're telling the story of who they are now. They don't know who they're going to be. This is the unique opportunity of our show that allows us to tell these stories in ways that they haven't been told before. That's the fun of it for us." By the way, it is another timeline. It's not the same timeline as the original series because they've shown that they've changed it. Oh, pardon me. Booze. Because they've changed the dates and stuff that when things happen. They say, "Oh, they're correcting the timeline." They're not. They changed it because we had dates and things, didn't we? Khan was lost in space since the year 1996. That hasn't happened in this Strange New Worlds. He's still on Earth. He's a young man. Well, he's not a young man. He's a kid in 2022. So at that time, he was supposed to be in space in the Botany Bay. So they've changed that. So no doubt, if they redo their version of Space Seed, they'll come on and they'll say the Botany Bay lost in space since the year 2065 or something like that. Won't it? Anyway, one of the delights of Strange New Worlds is its nostalgia, of course, but also its willingness to experiment. Season 2 gave us a Lower Decks crossover and a musical episode, so the sky's the limit for Season 3. Challenge accepted. We hope so. And that's it. They just go on to plug themselves. Like I say, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll see more Enterprise crew members because obviously they mustn't have changed everybody when Kirk came aboard. So it'd be nice to see, some others. Nice to see McCoy come aboard. Did he come aboard with Kirk? I don't know. It wasn't in the second pilot where No Man Has Gone Before. There were no McCoy in that. He didn't appear until the next one. They were in the first episode broadcast, The Man Trap, but that wasn't the first episode, made. I can't remember what order it was in. I think maybe the fourth or something like that. I can't really remember. Anyway, who else? Janice Rand. It'd be nice to see Yeoman Rand. Sulu, obviously. Chekhov, maybe. See him in the lower decks fashion. because obviously he didn't rise to the bridge until season 2 of the original series, did he? But as I said, this is a new timeline, so they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. Right, let's move on. Let's move on. By the way, getting that thing again saying connection is unstable. Don't know. I've seen other people having problems with StreamYards as well. I've seen Ryan Kinnell's been having problems with it. I've noticed on the Echo-based network, they were having problems with it last night, actually. So it must be a StreamYards thing. Right. Not my computer. Right. Oh, another thing that's been in the news. I actually meant to do this first, but I got them mixed up. Never mind. Right, here we go. Star Wars from TMZ. What does TMZ stand for? I have no idea. Star Wars ET producers list Malibu estate $18.5 million price tag. It's obviously Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall are selling. They've listed for sale their Malibu house. Some people have suggested this is because this is a portent that she's going to be leaving her position at Lucasfilm, but we shall see. Anyway, I'll read it and then I'll give my opinion. Two of the people behind some of the biggest movies in history are selling their Malibu estate, and the place looks like heaven on earth. And there's it is. It's very nice. Legendary Hollywood filmmakers Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy just put their 4-bedroom pad on the market for $18.5 million. 4 beds, that's all. And it's the house Star Wars and Indiana Jones built. There's the inside. Very nice. Nearly every room in the 3,989 square foot home boasts beach and ocean views, including the primary suite, I mean living room, which features its own fireplace, whoopie-doo, and a spa-style bathroom, plus a walk-in closet. So just another room that they can use as a closet. And there's a video of it. The estate has all the bells and whistles, an infinity pool, fire pit, outdoor barbecue and dining area, as well as an outdoor shower. The chef's kitchen has a centre island. There it is. So I bet they don't do much cooking themselves. I bet they've got people that do things for them. Has a centre island, full bar, minibar, and a fireplace. And there's a third fireplace in the living room, which has vaulted ceilings. Like Dexter's Lab. And the glass walls opening out to the Pacific. Whoever buys the home will also get membership to the super exclusive, La Costa Beach and Tennis Club, which is just down the block in Carbon Beach. Kathleen, the president of Lucasfilm, and Frank, who runs the couple's production company, Kennedy Marshall, bought the 2.2-acre property back in March 2015 for $9.75 million, and homes like these don't hit the market often. That's the bathroom. During their illustrious careers in Hollywood, Kathleen and Frank have produced new Star Wars movies. The new Star Wars movies, apologies. Well, Kathleen has. I don't know what Frank's been up to. Plus the Jason Bourne franchise. Did they do them? I didn't know that. As well as timeless classics like Back to the Future and E.T. I think Frank Marshall might have been involved with E.T. I think Kathleen Kennedy may have got... I can't remember. No, she might have done. She might have been like an associate producer or something on that. Plus Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I don't know how Kathleen Kennedy's got so... They say she's one of the best producers in history, but she hasn't written... Not in my opinion. She's rode on the coattails of more talented people, in my opinion. But there you go. But are they selling up because, they're not going to be in Los Angeles as much? She's leaving her position at Lucasfilm. Obviously, Disney's in LA, innit? Whereas Lucasfilm's up in San Francisco. So is she leaving her position as the president of Lucasfilm? Some people say no, they're just selling the house. They've done it before, apparently. Bought and sold. They're making a profit on it. But it's the timing, isn't it? It's the timing that's peculiar. All this palaver about Indiana Jones. It's not done well, has it? It's not. It's lost money as Indiana Jones the Dial of Destiny. Despite what the shill media have been trying to say. But anyway, so there we go. So she's selling her house. So if you got $18.5 million burning a hole in your pocket, Snap that baby up. I'm sure it's lovely. Right, let's move on. We're going on to from bounding into comics, so it could get spicy, but it's not John F. Trent, so we're probably okay. The Suicide Squad director David Ayer, is it Ayer? Ayer, yeah, says James Gunn told him the Ayer cut would have its time to be shared. I think James Gunn's saying a lot of things to people these days, and not backing them up, but we'll see. Director David Ayer got candid again about his cut of Suicide Squad, despite saying a while ago he was done talking about it. However, the conversation never ended, and neither did the hand-wringing by fans hoping to see the fabled Ayer cut receive its due the same way Zack Snyder's Justice League did. On that front, there is an update. By the way, I quite enjoyed Suicide Squad, the first one. I thought it was fine. Not amazing, but, it was fun. And that's what matters. Ayer broke his silence thanks to a snide comment, and by doing so indicated his cut of Suicide Squad will have its day because DC Studios head James Gunn sounds like he is looking into it. He had a conversation with the Training Day filmmaker, says Ayer, in which Gunn told him the Ayer cut would have its time to be shared. When? No one knows. But Ayer defends the effort he put in. To this day, he declares in his new X post, Twitter, that his version plays much better than the studio release, which was infamously trimmed down by an editor team that specializes in trailers. Ayer recapitulated this in response to remarks by the Nerd Rage podcast. Twitter account, see, they've said Twitter there, haven't they? Twitter account, X account, One Take News, reshared a new photo of Jared Leto as the Joker wearing a tuxedo. However, it was pointed out by the Nerd Rage podcast, the image was initially released in 2016 when Suicide Squad came out. Not to call out David by saying this, but you do know this was released back in 2016, right? They wrote, and there's the X. Anyway, so there we go. That's them saying that. Taking that as a challenge, Ayer didn't hold back. What's your advice on how to navigate this situation with grace? There's a genuine curiosity and interest from a lot of people, Ayer fired back, and I'm aware that there is another group of people that are fun mocking the film. Your comment is a perfect example of how many are magnetically drawn to the 2016 film in a negative way. Sorry, I'm just going to check something. Just a minute. I've just got it into my head that my microphone's not working properly. I don't know why. It's just, it's bothering me, so I need to just check. Right. Working properly. I don't know why. Oh, no, it's fine. It's just, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. I got it into my head that my microphone wasn't working properly. I did a video earlier on today. You may have seen the short I put on of the drawing I did. And I did a video, the long video of me talking away, listening to music while I'm doing my drawing, the full length, in real time, talking away into this microphone and, recording it. And when I put it into my software, for some reason it hadn't recorded it. It recorded the audio from, I don't know, I think my webcam mic or something, even though I ticked this mic. So anyway, I just thought I'd check. Anyway, where were we? Right, anyway, there he is. Have you ever had an experience in life that didn't go the way you wanted, that dragged you, that made you rethink everything? Ayer continued. I have. He would add, all I know is my unseen film plays much better than the studio release. I'm sure it does. Again, this is a view he has maintained all these years, along with how different his version is. The interest in my cut being shown seems real and organic, and Gunn told me it would have its time to be shared, Ayer said, followed by a very big caveat, which is his support from the DCU for the DCU to come. He absolutely deserves to launch his DC universe without more drama about old projects. And there's his tweet. Sorry, X. There's always the possibility of the Elseworlds of Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, and frankly, that is already the case as Gunn and Warner Brothers softly rebooted the Task Force in 2021. I have no idea what they're talking about. Gunn's film received some good reviews, and much of it is liable to stay canon by the time Superman Legacy, Waller, and Peacemaker Season 2 premiere. Is that what he's talking about? The Suicide Squad, James Gunn's version. Is that what he's on about? Anyway, still, Ayer's unrealised DC legacy might never go away. In a way, I'm chained to this thing. I'm riding a tiger here, navigating this situation the best I can. Life is a very strange journey, he said. Ayer then closed his ersatz essay, Walk Down Memory Lane, with Welcome to my TED Talk, somehow hoping for more plus his movie. And there's Harley's baseball bats. Ayer also posted behind-the-scenes images a day before his lengthier post, including the above picture of some of Harley Quinn prop bats. They are the perfect thing to close on, but rest assured we have in no way, shape or form heard the last of David Ayer or his Suicide Squad, not until it is released in full, gun willing. Yeah, cool. I hope so, because I like it. Yes, that's it. That's it. Go away. I liked Suicide Squad. I thought it were okay. And don't forget, it's an Oscar-winning film. It won an Oscar for something. I can't remember what. But it won an Oscar for something. Best makeup or something like that. I can't remember. So, yeah. So, it is an Oscar-winning movie. Right. Let's move on. Oh, pressing the wrong button. I pressed refresh instead of F11. Never mind. Stop it. Right, who's next? Yoda's next. Yoda's next. Here he is. Who trained Yoda in the Force? A dead Star Wars legend. Explained. And there he is. In the CG version of Yoda. After Disney purchased Lucasfilm, they made the necessary but difficult decision to kill the Star Wars expanded universe, throwing out decades of stories for a simpler, streamlined canon that they keep forgetting or ignoring. With that, the studio effectively removed Yoda's master from the continuity, shrouding the legendary Jedi Grandmaster's backstory in even more secrecy. In Star Wars Legends, which is what they renamed the expanded universe to, Jedi Master Nakata Del Gormo trained Yoda in the ways of the Force, setting the young alien down a path to become one of the greatest Jedi ever. Nakata Del Gormo was a Hysalrian, or High Salrian, no idea. A serpent-like race of reptilian aliens with 4 arms and 4 eyes. Outside of the pair of quadruple limbs, Hysalrians' upper bodies were relatively humanoid, while their lower halves were massive serpent tails. While Nakata Del Gormo was their only notable character, being the Jedi who trained Yoda is far from a small feat. As the legend goes, a young Yoda and his unnamed human friend crash-landed on a mysterious swamp planet. Why is his human friend unnamed? I don't know. If it's in the book or something, I don't know. Anyway, asking Nakata Del Gormo for help. After spending a few days with the dishevelled duo, the Jedi Master offered to take them in as Padawans, recognizing their latent Force sensitivity. So basically, it's a mirror of what Luke crashing on Dagobah, isn't it? It's like poetry. It rhymes. I don't know why I did George Lucas sounding like Dr. Evil then, but never mind. Eventually, the Galactic Republic answered Yoda's distress call, taking the young hermit to Coruscant, where he continued his training, rising to the highest rank possible Jedi Grand Master. What happened to his human friend? While all records of Jedi Master Nakata Del Gormo's existence were lost during Emperor Palpatine's Great Jedi Purge, there's a similar lack of evidence surrounding Yoda's new canonical master, making it a mysterious aspect of Star Wars lore. In the current Star Wars canon, Yoda's master was an unknown member of the Jedi Order, with little to no information specifying anything about the mysterious Jedi. Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray reveals they took Yoda on as a Padawan when the alien was young. However, given his species' long lifespan, this happened hundreds of years before the Empire usurped the Galactic Republic. Yes, he was 900 years old when he died. And he'd been training Jedis for 800 years, because they said that in Empire Strikes Back. Or Return of the Jedi. One of them for 800 years. My own counsel I have kept and all that, he said. So he'd been training Jedis for since he was 100 years old. Oh, there we go. So obviously, if Grogu is typical of his race, he's going to have a growth spurt, isn't he? Any time, because he's over 50 years old now, isn't he? Anyway. Interestingly, the only source of information regarding Yoda's master comes from The Empire Strikes Back, So You Want to Be a Jedi. This is a junior novel retelling the film's events. In the book, Yoda recounts a story his master once told him about Jedi Kung Fu and Chuang. Christ's sake. The tale taught Yoda how to live in peace as Jedi Master Kung Fu sees Chuang enjoying his life after the death of his Padawan, showing that death isn't the end, but the start of becoming something new within the Force. Kung Fu. Christ almighty. It's as bad as Luke, innit? Yoda tells Luke this story as part of the latter's Jedi training on Dagobah. Outside of that, there's not much information regarding Yoda's canonical Jedi Master. In an interview with Nerdist, Dave Filoni recalled, Frank Oz once told me once that Yoda speaks that way specifically in honor of his own master, but Star Wars has yet to officially confirm this. That's Frank Oz's headcanon. That's what it is. Yeah, so there we go. So he was trained by somebody, but we don't know who. Probably not Kung Fu. Oh dear. I know Kung Fu. Let's move on quickly. Right. Star Trek next. We're sticking with Looper. Right. Where are we? There we are. Star Trek, the wardrobe demand that allegedly made Teri Garr walk off the set. And there she is with Gary 7. Don't ask me the name of the actor. Maybe it'll say, it does there, Robert Lansing. As groovy as Star Trek the original series was, the 1960s sci-fi television series hasn't aged well in the intervening years. It's still fun to watch. Blatant sexism was unfortunately par for the course at the time. You can say that about Next Generation, first couple of seasons, to be completely honest. Something that one Star Trek alum called out during the run of the series, appearing in just one episode, Assignment Earth, which were essentially a pilot episode, like a backdoor pilot for a new series that we're going to do that had nothing to do really with Star Trek. But anyway, appearing in just one episode, Assignment Earth, actor Teri Garr, actress. She's an actress. Why do they demand to be called actors? Don't you want your own word for it? For what you are. You're an actress. Actress Teri Garr had an experience so uncomfortable that she walked off the set during a pivotal scene. Garr plays Roberta Lincoln in the episode, an Earth secretary to Gary 7, Robert Lansing, whose mission was to stop humanity from destroying itself. The stakes were undoubtedly high, but you wouldn't know it considering the wardrobe note that showrunner Gene Roddenberry gave Garr. In the scene, where the characters are trying to stop a nuclear launch, Garr was already wearing a criminally short skirt. They did, didn't they? But Roddenberry insisted that it be shortened by another 2 inches. Unbelievable. According to The Impossible Has Happened, the life and work of Gene Roddenberry, author Lance Parkin recounted that the actress was so insulted that she walked off set. This was a turning point for Garr. Although she returned to finish her work, she washed her hands of anything to do with Trek in the future. Even years later, in an interview with Starlog, Garr slammed the Star Trek universe and even maligned sci-fi as a genre. It's weird because you were in Close Encounters, weren't you? And Young Frankenstein, which kind of is sci-fi, isn't it? Frankenstein is generally thought of as the first proper science fiction novel back in 1818. Anyway. Garr's experience was not favourable, to be sure, and it squashed any potential for her return in the future. In a science fiction universe, costumes and prosthetics are often required, resulting in quite a laborious process. But the women on the Star Trek set seem to have it worse than most. Teri Garr wouldn't be the last actress on set to endure wardrobe uncomfortably. When Jerry Ryan landed the role as the assimilated Borg 7 of 9 in Star Trek Voyager, she had more to handle than just on-set tension with Kate Mulgrew. Her famous corset on the show was a source of discomfort, especially when she needed time to herself. The costume was so elaborate that she needed help anytime she needed the bathroom. Makes you look good in it. But yeah. If I had to go, it was on the radio. Jerry's going, 10-1, that's 20. Because, I had to have somebody dress me and undress me, Ryan recalled, during the Voyager reunion. It was a 20-minute thing to get me undressed, go to the bathroom, get dressed, go back to sets. It was a thing. Ryan became so self-conscious that even she tried limiting food and liquids just so she wouldn't hold up production. The actress suffered all so she could represent a sense of sexuality for the show, which was consequently why the show's star also made Ryan's time on Voyager so unpleasant. Thankfully, in her appearance in Star Trek Picard, she seemed to have a much more comfortable outfit and less of a double standard lodged against her. She was for the dads, wasn't she? 7 of 9, essentially. Even though she kind of did take over the show when she arrived in season 4. It essentially became the 7 of 9 show. She was in practically, front and center. Not every episode, but quite a lot. She did, So I'm not surprised Kate Mulgrew maybe had a bit of a chip on her shoulder for it. It'd be like, suddenly Mr. Chekhov or somebody suddenly being thrust forward in storylines. William Shatner wouldn't have been happy about that, would he? Because he was the star, and Kate Mulgrew was the star of the show, and she probably felt she was being, elbowed out a bit by this young, sexy Borg. But anyway, right, so we'll leave that there. So very interesting. But it was the 60s, the Teri Garr thing, not the 7 of 9. It was the 60s. Don't make it fine, don't make it good or, all right, but, it's what they had to put up with, to be completely honest. Right, Doctor Who next. The new Doctor Who actor has a personal connection to the role. New Doctor Who actor Ncuti Gatwa goes on the record to explain the moving reason why he resonates with the iconic character's story. The regenerating Time Lord has encountered some trials and tribulations in Doctor Who, and just in time for the 60th anniversary, newcomer Ncuti Gatwa has shared how this connects him to his new character on a personal level. After only 32 episodes as the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker is officially handing the reins to Gatwa. Not handed to him, she's handed them over to David Tennant, hasn't she? The returning David Tennant, who will then hand them over to Ncuti Gatwa. Prior Doctors have had shorter tenures, such as the underrated Christopher Eccleston. But he didn't want to get typecast, did he? And then what has he done since? Not much. Thor 2, G.I. Joe. When Christopher Eccleston, when Doctor Who was rebooted in 2005, but Whittaker's retirement is ushering in a different era in the decades-long franchise. Gatwa not only brings more representation into the sci-fi series, but his casting also adds a personal touch to Doctor Who's character. I mean, the Doctor's character. It has long been established in canon. They were only called Doctor Who in the Peter Cushing film. Hello, I am Doctor Who. Never mind. It has long been established in canon that the time traveler is the sole survivor of genocide against his people. And though that has been retconned in recent years, the Doctor's specific experience resonates with the new actor. This person survived a genocide. This person fits in everywhere and nowhere, Gatwa explained to Rolling Stone UK. I am the Doctor. The Doctor is me. I decided that I had to get this role. And there's David Tennant. And what's her face? I can't remember her name now. Anyway. Rose. I can't remember the actress's name. Like the Doctor, Gatwa had experienced being displaced from his home. He and his family escaped during the Rwandan civil war that targeted the Tutsis in the 90s. Not a particularly savage time, wasn't it? People getting beheaded all over the place. It was horrible. And now they're wanting. Apparently, it's a lovely place now because the British government's wanting to send, like migrants to Rwanda. Anyway, they settled in Scotland, which Gatwa considers his home, but his remaining feelings of being an outsider made the role of the Doctor appealing. The Doctor cannot return to their home and will never see their people again. He spends his time travelling time and space, making things better for other people. In an uncertain world, the Doctor is a beacon of hope. In light of his previous show, Sex Education, ending, this is undoubtedly an appeal to Gatwa. The British comedy series puts a fine point about how teenagers talk about sexuality in the real world, which comes with painful conversations and sometimes prejudice. Being cast in Doctor Who allows Gatwa to explore resonant and emotional themes, but it also takes place in a universe where conflicts usually have a happy ending. There is no doubt that Doctor Who has featured some harrowing subject material. In addition to genocide, there have been many times when Doctor Who has lost on the show. But it can be argued that Gatwa's sensitivity to the Doctor's character may make him the best regeneration yet. Well, we'll see, won't we? David Tennant and Matt Smith fans may be quick to disagree, but viewers won't know for sure until Gatwa makes his debut on the 60th anniversary episode. As Doctor Who continues to air more seasons, there are more opportunities to bring the show into the 21st century and use the sci-fi genre to tell relevant stories. Doctor Who Season 14 will premiere in 2024. We're going to see the specials with David Tennant in November, aren't we? Looking forward to that. I hope they're good. Because it was going to be cancelled, wasn't it, Doctor Who? Apparently that's the story that's going around. After Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall had ruined it, the story was that it was going to be cancelled, and that was it. But Russell T Davies essentially swooped in on his rode in on his white horse, saved the day, but the BBC essentially had to hand over creative control and everything to his company, Bad Wolf, which were then bought by Sony, and a lot of money's coming from Disney because it's a co-production with Disney now. It's going to be airing on Disney Plus around the world, but still on the BBC in the UK. But the BBC has had to give up a lot. So we will see how it goes. Hopefully it'll do well. And they'll get some good stories, I hope. Right, let's move on. Nearly done now. It's not a super long show this week. I've got to go drawing for my lad later. I usually draw for him. See, I think it relaxes him if I'm there drawing for him. He tells me what to do when I draw it. And I didn't draw today because I was busy being defrosting the bloody freezer and getting stuff done. I said, I'll draw for you after my show. So that's what I've got to do tonight. Right, so back to Star Trek. Hang on. There we go. This is about Khan. Khan! Why Khan Noonien Singh casts a shadow over the entire Star Trek universe. Remember we mentioned him earlier on. Strange New World is now a different timeline because of what they've done with Khan. But we'll see if this article mentions it. Probably won't. According to its own mythology, the utopia of Star Trek has to be earned. Sometime between the present day and the franchise's idyllic future, several destructive wars will break out. Well, in the mid-90s, according to original Star Trek canon, we had the eugenics wars, which is where Khan seized control of a quarter of the Earth's population or whatever. And lots of people were killed, and he escaped on the Botany Bay into space in 1996. And then there was the Third World War in the mid-21st century, wasn't there? In the 2050s, early 2050s. Right, where were we? Several destructive wars will break out, causing humankind to experience a reckoning. Recall that Trek creator Gene Roddenberry was born in 1921, so he had very sharp memories of World War II and all of the horrors it produced. Roddenberry came to feel that humanity ought to learn from such horrors and began to depict war, at least in Star Trek, as humanity's low point. Once faced with self-destruction, Roddenberry felt humans would eventually set themselves on the path to healing and recovery. Well, as everyone's first contact were made with the Vulcans in 2063. They said within 50 years, crime and poverty and all that had been eliminated on Earth. But anyway, it was antithetical then for Roddenberry to depict the character of Khan Noonien Singh, Ricardo Montalban, the way he did. In the Star Trek episode Space Seed, February 16th, 1967, the Enterprise rescues Khan from a cargo ship called the Botany Bay, and several of his compatriots were in cryogenic sleep, having fled Earth about 200 years previously, fleeing extradition. Khan, you see, was one of Earth's most famous dictators during the eugenics wars. He had conquered most of the planet, well, a quarter. With the aid of his genetically enhanced retinue, Khan was confident, forthright, and convinced of his innate superiority, qualities that, bafflingly, Kirk, William Shatner, Spock, Leonard McCoy, and the ship's historian, Lieutenant Marla MacGyver's Madeline Rue, greatly admired. Well, yeah, they admired his confidence and what he'd accomplished. It was a bit like Alexander the Great, I suppose. You can't admire the way he did things, I suppose, or the result of what he did. Basically killing people. But anyway, whatever. Right, Star Trek may have been a pacifist show at its heart, but too often the characters stood in unironic awe of violent military commanders. MacGyver's especially folded to his charms. It was a little gross. Thought it was Whitney Seibold. Is that a man or a woman? No idea. Although Khan left the show after Space Seed, he would return his cinematic form. From 1982 onward, Khan would alter Star Trek forever, both for better and for worse. Right. In Space Seed, Khan, seeing an opportunity to begin his old nation-conquering habits again, tried to take over the Enterprise. Kirk and Spock outwit him, knock out his genetically enhanced retinue, and wrest back control of the ship. Rather than punish Khan for his malfeasance, however, Kirk gives the villain an ultimatum. He can create the ideal society he's always dreamed of on an uninhabited planet somewhere. Khan accepts the challenge, and he's left on a planet called Ceti Alpha 5 to build his masterpiece society. Khan was out of sight and out of mind. Until the release of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan in 1982. In the film, it was revealed that shortly after Khan arrived, 6 months, Ceti Alpha 5 experienced a massive natural cataclysm. Well, Ceti Alpha 6 exploded and shifted the orbits. And I think Starfleet thought, it shifted Ceti Alpha 5's orbit into what had been Ceti Alpha 6's orbit. I think that's what happened. So Starfleet probably thought Ceti Alpha 5 had exploded. Ceti Alpha 6, whatever. Anyway, that transformed it into an inhospitable desert world. For decades, Khan and his retinue lived huddled in a ship, barely surviving, growing increasingly preoccupied with getting revenge on Kirk. Over the course of Star Trek II, Khan commandeers a Starfleet vessel called the USS Reliant and goes hunting for Kirk, now an admiral. Kirk, meanwhile, is going through a midlife crisis wherein he finally faces the consequences of several forgotten transgressions. Khan is the personification of Kirk's absent-mindedness. He never bothered to check in on Khan. Well, we don't know, do we? Maybe Starfleet kept an eye on him, But maybe when Ceti Alpha 6 exploded, maybe they thought that had, basically wiped him out, killed everybody. But it didn't, did it? Popular opinion typically dictates that Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, is the best of the 13 extant Star Trek movies. Montalban brings a glorious melodramatic oomph to his performance that thrills audiences and handily balances Shatner's occasional tendency to play Kirk as larger than life, because Kirk is larger than life. He is a great Star Trek villain. But then that's a problem, since when was Star Trek about heroes and villains? Since 1982, it seems. Ordinarily, Trek is more morally nuanced than that. But it depends how you describe a villain, really, doesn't it? is he a great Star Trek villain or is he a great Star Trek antagonist? Because he's got his reasons for the way he acts. He's got his reasons for wanting revenge on Kirk. He's not doing it just because he's evil. It's because of what Kirk did. Kirk left him on that planet and everything that happened afterwards. He lost his wife, Marla MacGyver's, who went with him. So he's blaming Kirk for all. So he does have reasons for the way he's acting. He's not just purely evil. Anyway, throughout its history, throughout the 1990s in particular, Star Trek writers have often bent over backward to present dramas with a palpable element of moral ambiguity. It's rare that a character will be presented as wholly heroic or villainous, and that's not true to life, Heroes and villains don't exist. Yes, they do. Only people of all walks may commit acts of heroism or even acts of villainy, all the while convinced that what they're doing is right and correct. Well, yeah, you might have reasons for doing things, but sometimes some people just are bad people. Anyway, like I say, Khan was, but it could. It would argue with the Enterprise that because he was what they call them now, augment. Because they were an augment, the augments generally kind of went a bit loopy, didn't they? And that did bad things and all that. I forgot what I'm bloody talking about now, tell you. But anyway, so he couldn't help himself, essentially. I forgot where I want now. Star Trek analyzes human values and philosophies and attempts to find a careful middle ground within a matrix of diplomacy and pragmatism, justice and morality are more nuanced than good versus evil. In Trek, conflicts are rarely solved by a hero besting a villain in violent combat. That's Star Wars stuff. I don't know. This person, as Whitney, who wrote this, watched a lot of Star Trek. There's a lot of fighting in Star Trek. There's a lot of, thinking about things as well, but, there's still a lot of fighting. But anyway, it cannot be denied that such conflicts are exciting, easy to consume, and eminently cinematic. On TV, Trek could afford a slower pace and episodes that centered on conversation and philosophy. On the big screen, however, everything needs to wrap up more dramatically and tidily. As such, most of the Star Trek movies are a lot more action-forward than anything on TV. And when the franchise discovered the effectiveness of Khan as a Star Trek supervillain, they hit a groove. Not mentioning Star Trek 4, though, are you? That's the most successful, isn't it, Star Trek movie? No fighting in that. Anyway, a charismatic villain who wants personal revenge on a Starfleet captain. Bully. Let's do that as often as we can get away with. Also, more shooting and yelling and space battles and explosions. By the early 1990s, a fan consensus began to form around the first 6 Trek movies, and many agreed that Wrath of Khan was the best. The franchise soon began to imitate it, looking for their next Khan. That's not Khan. It's telling that 4 Trek films in a row, Star Trek Nemesis, the 2009 film, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond, all centered on vengeance-obsessed villains. Nemesis was Tom Hardy. Shinzon, who was like a clone of Picard, wasn't he? 2009 were about Nero, wanting revenge on the destruction of Romulus. Into Darkness were Khan. And Beyond were Idris Elba's character, whose name I've forgotten, wanting revenge on Starfleet. Anyway, yes, so there we go. The 3rd season of Star Trek Picard also retreaded the concept. In Nemesis, Shinzon, going to tell us all about it. In Nemesis, Shinzon, Tom Hardy wanted to kill Captain Picard, Patrick Stewart, because he was cloned from Picard's DNA. Shinzon's ship and the Enterprise E ended the film facing off in a nebula, just like in Wrath of Khan. Not really just like. It wasn't really in the nebula either, really. It was a weird section of area of space where they couldn't communicate very well. In the 2009 film, a Romulan named Nero, by the way, I think Nemesis has the best space battle in all of Star Trek, in my opinion. Particularly in the movies. In the 2009 film, a Romulan named Nero, Eric Banner, sought revenge on Spock. In darkness, Khan was resurrected in the parallel universe form, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. He still wanted revenge. Beyond was about Kroll, Idris Elba, a man who came to hate being abandoned by the Federation, just like in Wrath of Khan. I liked Beyond, Star Trek Beyond, but I didn't understand how Kroll, that was his alien name. He started out as a human Starfleet captain, who like turned into an alien for some reason. I don't really know, because I don't know, but it were okay for the most part. Anyway, and Picard, made 41 years after Wrath of Khan, still followed a lot of the same beats. Vadik, Amanda Plummer, was a dark, vengeful villain with an overpowered ship. Picard even went so far as to borrow music cues directly from Khan to invite comparison. There even a nebula battle in that were a lot like Wrath of Khan. Again, a supervillain is a dramatically satisfying archetype, especially in your typical Hollywood melodrama. Their villainy is easy to understand, and the means to stop them clear, usually violence. Seeing a bad guy get murdered is cathartic, but seeing Khan as a villain was the wrong lesson to have taken from Star Trek II. In a more sane Trek plot, Kirk would find a way to give Khan what he wanted and talk his way out of the problem. Didn't get the opportunity, though, did he? The villains in all the above movies have legitimate grievances, and TV Star Trek would spend more time addressing and repairing said issues. Not necessarily. Khan's shadow is long and his legacy is simultaneously fun and very, very unfortunate. I don't know. Sometimes you've got to have a punch-up. I mean, Kirk even had a fist fight with a godlike entity, Gary Mitchell, in the second pilot, didn't he? Which is, sometimes what people want. It's all fine and dandy being all, upright and righteous and wanting to find a peaceful way, but sometimes you just need to smack somebody in the face. Anyway, right, let's move on. We're nearly done. Last one now. Last one. This is about my friend and yours,
Wheaton.
Hey, right, here we go. There we go. A lying Star Trek producer tried to sabotage
Wheaton.
career. And there he is. The start of Star Trek The Next Generation was a difficult and tempestuous time. Many Trekkies will be able to tell you the series. Whitney again. We'll be able to tell you the series of events. Star Trek The Motion Picture wasn't the enormous hit that Paramount wanted when the film was released in 1979. It did okay. And Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry was uninvited from participating in any further sequels. He was just used as a consultant. Pardon me. Smarting from the rejection, Roddenberry eventually turned back to TV, developing an all-new Star Trek show at the studio's behest. This show was to be the purer version of Star Trek, complete with Roddenberry's infamous no infighting between the characters mandate that so frustrated his writing staff. Roddenberry was also determined to retain as much control as possible over Next Generation, causing him to butt heads with, just about everyone around him. In brief, in the show's first 2 seasons, there was a lot of chaos. What's the documentary Chaos on the Bridge? I think it's on Amazon. It's really good. One of the show's main cast, Denise Crosby, who played Tasha Yar, felt that she wasn't getting the quality material she had been promised and asked to be written out of the show. Tasha's on-screen death is one of the most notorious moments in the franchise's history. It should return later, as a guest star. It seems that Will Wheaton, a few times, it seems that Will Wheaton, the teenage actor who played Wesley Crusher, was also misled a little. At some point during the second season of Next Generation, Wheaton was approached by director Milos Forman about the possibility of starring in his film Valmont, an adaptation of Les Liaisons Dangereuses. Sadly, shooting Valmont would have taken Wheaton away from a vital Next Generation episode, forcing him to stay on the show. Years later, he learned that was a lie. He told the story in the 50-year mission, the next 25 years from Next Generation to J.J. Abrams, edited by Mark A. Altman and Edward Gross. The role Wheaton was trying out for was likely that of the young Danceny, a role that would ultimately go to Henry Thomas. Given when Valmont came out, this would have likely happened after the end of the famously troubled second season of Next Generation. Wheaton was no stranger to film, having appeared in 8 features to date, including Rob Reiner's coming-of-age hit Stand By Me in 1986. So he was eager to appear in the movie again. Wheaton said, when I was still working on Star Trek, we had finished the season, presumably season 1, and we were on hiatus when I was cast by Milos Forman to be in his film Valmont. The shooting schedule for that movie would have run over into the first week of production on Next Generation, which wasn't going to be a problem because for whatever reason we were shooting that season out of order and we were shooting the second episode first. I think there were problems with the writer's strike as well, I think, at the time, which is why they reused Star Trek Phase 2 script, didn't they? The Child. Anyway, okay, so no problem, right? Wheaton could star in the movie, maybe ask that Wesley Crusher be written out for a few episodes, and then return to Star Trek at his leisure. It seems, however, that said rewrites weren't so easy, as a Wesley Crusher-centered episode was scheduled right when Wheaton wanted to be absent. Or was he? Wheaton recalled. One of the producers told my agent that they could not write me out of that episode because it was a Wesley-focused episode and I couldn't go work for Milos Forman in Paris. He called my house and told me it's a Wesley episode and I'm writing a scene with you and Gates McFadden that's going to move your mother-son relationship forward and it's really important to the series. He just lied to me. Wheaton recalls not just being upset that he wouldn't be able to travel to France to work with the director of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus, but a distinct sense of utter betrayal when it came time to shoot the episode in question, the one wherein Wesley Crusher was so important to the series. Wheaton found that the script had been altered entirely. He remembered, I was really upset because I was excited to have the opportunity to work with this amazing director in an amazing movie and in an amazing role that I thought really would have solidified my credentials as a young actor. I was really disappointed. A few days before we began production on that season of Next Generation, this producer wrote me out of the script entirely, and it was appalling to me. The message was very clear. We own you, and it was a move to sabotage my career. No, it was just a case of they wanted you there just in case, I think. You're contracted to them, basically. Wheaton doesn't call out the name of the producer in question, but golly, what a cad. I bet it was, I forgot his name now. The fellow that created the Borg. I can't remember his bloody name now. But there were problems with him. He was the man that got... Actually, it can't have been season 2. Because on about it would be in season 2, wouldn't there? Let me read. Wesley Crusher. Just give me a second here. Just give me a second. It's on about the second. They did say the second. Yeah, the second season. But they mentioned his mother. There we go. It's going move your mother-son relationship forward. Scene with you and Gates McFadden. She wasn't in the second season. So I think he's misremembering this. It was Diana Muldaur's Dr. Crusher. Not Dr. Crusher. Diana Muldaur's the doctor. I forgot the name now. In season 2, wasn't it? So I think he's misremembering here now. But it was in season 1. I can't remember his bloody name now. That producer. Let's say it was him that essentially it didn't like Gates McFadden, got her fired essentially, and got Diana Muldaur in, and he created the Borg. What's his name now? I have to look it up now. Hey, I forgot the name of the bloody episode. Star Trek TNG season 2. I've got to look it up because it'll be bothering me. It'll be bothering me. Dear. Look at list of producers. Hey, Maurice Hurley. That's what I'm thinking of. Maurice Hurley. Yeah, he didn't like Gates McFadden. So got fired and got Danny Muldaur as Dr. Pulaski. And, but I think Maurice Hurley left at the beginning of season 3. And they got Dr. Crusher back. They got Gates back. Anyway, so recall that Wheaton had been a working actor for several years leading up to Star Trek, and his film career was thriving. Apart from Stand By Me, he had a bit part in The Last Starfighter. Did he? I don't remember seeing him in that. I'm going to have to watch that again. Keep an eye out. Appeared in the TV movie The Defiant Ones and played a voice in The Secret of Nim. He was established. He was poised to be massive. It seems that the next gen producers feared Wheaton's success. This was confirmed by one of Wheaton's co-stars. Years later, Marina Sirtis told me that they knew that if I had done this film, I would have been a movie star, and it would have been harder for them to deal with me. I felt so betrayed by that, and I was like, "F you guys! I'm now doing anything I can to get off this show." But he didn't, did he? Because I can't believe you would treat another person like that. That led me to wanting to leave Next Generation. Wesley Crusher's arc was conducive to that. Luckily, the character was ambitious and wanted to attend Starfleet Academy. That took Wesley off the Enterprise and back to Earth, where he would attend classes off camera. I think that was in season 4, though, maybe even season 5. Can't remember. I think it was season 4, wasn't it? Like middle of season 4, he left. He did come back, didn't he? I think it was season 5. Like a guest star. That one where he was in the Red Squad thing, or Red Squadron, whatever they call them. And somebody died, and they're trying to cover it up. But Wesley told the truth. Tom Paris were in it. It wasn't Tom Paris. It was Nick Locarno. But that would. Anyway, whatever. Well, Wesley came back for the occasional guest spot, and he was even given an arc of his own. He left Starfleet because of bad diplomatic decisions and a talent for teleporting around the galaxy. Don't ask. Oh, do ask. It's about the Traveller. And it seemed that Wesley had an ability to, essentially see things in a way that the Travellers saw them. And he went off doing things, and they did it in Picard season 2, and it was horrible. But anyway. But Wheaton was glad to have stepped away. Sadly, his stepping away also stymied his career. When I finally did leave Next Generation when I was 18, for the first time in my life, I didn't have to be going to the set every morning at 6, and didn't have to wear a haircut I didn't want, and I could have a life of my own. And I really wanted to live a life of my own. I had this opportunity to go and work, for a computer company, so I did. And then I sort of missed acting and came back after a couple of years. I'm like, okay, I'm ready, let's go. And the entertainment industry is like, I'm sorry, who are you? Well, yeah, short memories in Hollywood. Wheaton has since returned, hosting nerd-based shows and Star Trek recap sessions. He seems to be fine now. Does a lot of conventions. I'm not a fan, to be honest. I'm not a fan. But anyway, that's enough about this fella.
Will Wheaton.
Sorry, just every opportunity to play that. Right. And that was the last story. As I said, a short show this week. A short show. Right, we'll leave it there. Hang on, I'm just trying to do things. Right, we'll leave it there. So, thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, hang on. Where are we? There we go. Until next time, I'll say the